Well. Here we are again. Now, you know me, man. I'm going to give it to you straight. No one knows who I am. No one cares who I am. And I'm totally fine with that. But the main purpose is always bringing the truth. And, I don't want to mislead nobody or misguide. I don't want to do none of that. I don't want to fearmonger. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to relay to you guys what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. And so far, uh, wow, there's just a bunch of stuff being said right now. Um, of course, about the guy standing next to him, like they were throwing up hand signals, which honestly, there would be no reason to do that. Really, there would not be a reason to give a sniper or whatever hand signal. He's just gonna be up there waiting for his moment, and he gonna take his shot. That's pretty much it. Um, the other thing is, of course, which is really funny to me because most of the people that I've seen that were celebrating um, Charlie's death were white. I've seen some black ones, yes, but most of them were black women, I believe, as far as from what I've seen, and they were part of the Rainbow Crew. So I don't count that. That's just me. I don't, and I'm gonna get into that more. As far as the Rainbow Crew and LGBT and all that other crap. I mean, it's a mess. It's a complete mess, and it's supposed to be. Um, right now they're just using, which I think is so unfortunate. If you haven't seen my other video before this, I said what I said and I stand where I stand. And seeing a man get his life taken, regardless of what you believe or don't believe or agree with, because I mean, there's things that I don't agree with, and I'm going to tell you what I don't agree with. Everything else, I think he's on the money. He's right there. There's only two things I don't agree with. One of them is when he speaks concerning the black community, and the other one is politics. You don't want to put yourself too deep in politics. You don't want to get too involved because it has ran amok for too long. And no politician, no political leader, you can't trust them. You just can't. Especially if they're well known, and you just no, you can't, because it's all facade. Remember what happened to Tiger Woods? Everybody loved Tiger Woods, right? Find out what was going on. They're like, oh, which really, honestly, really wasn't that bad. He wasn't doing anything to anybody else, just himself and his wife and his kids. Had nothing to do with America, but you see how quickly people jumped on that. But yet we got a guy who was connected to all the biggest businessmen, politicians, and everything else. And look what happened there. You know what I'm saying? So, like, y'all being fooled. Like I continue to tell, like I continue to try to tell people, y'all being fooled by all these people because no one is going in the right direction. They're all going in the wrong direction, and it takes time, it takes research, it takes paying attention to see what's really going on. And I have to decipher a lot of stuff because at first I was even starting to believe the whole, the dude standing there doing arm singles and all that junk, and then another dude was saying he got shot from this position, blah blah blah. I saw the video when he first got shot. I knew it was coming from his left side, but for some reason this guy was saying it was coming from his right side. Yeah. So, anyways, the thing I want to talk about is as far as Charlie Kirk being racist. Me as a black man, I will tell you that he is not racist, but most white people do not understand the struggle of the ghetto. You don't understand the struggles of the ghetto. Unless you come from the ghetto and lived in it, I don't think you can speak on it. You just can't. You can't. If you've had no experience, there's no way you can actually speak on it. And I'm sorry, I don't think he lived in the ghetto or grew up in the hood. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's one. But here's the thing, I don't hear from any of these guys. The main thing all I hear is even they even get black people to believe it too, which I think is freaking hilarious. If that's the case, let's look at this. Okay. Remember these guys? I'm sure you know who these guys are. Yeah. One of their songs was called F the Police. Do you just think they were just saying F the police because they were a bunch of drug dealers and they just wanted to do what they wanted to do? And they didn't want to be bothered by being hemmed up by police? Hmm. Don't worry, I'll wait. Now, see, you'll say, okay, well, that was a different time then. Yeah, you know what? You're exactly right. It was. But here's the kicker. This stuff is still going on. It's still happening. Heck, it just happened not too long ago. Hasn't changed. Same thing. Racism doesn't exist, but anytime a Jewish person comes out, a Jewish person comes out and says anti-Semitic, oh man, everybody's up in arms. Racism doesn't exist. Oh, it still exists. It's not just black people, it's everybody. There's racism everywhere. So when you look at this situation and you tell me everything was excuse me, was systematically prepared and executed to do exactly what they're doing now, just like with everything else. They're not understanding the reasoning behind all this craziness. These people who make these albums, who do you think who do you think puts it out there? Who do you think runs it? White people. There ain't no black people running these businesses. I mean, maybe a couple. I mean, Easy, he had his own label. And there's a couple other more like that, Master P, and there's all these other guys. But the fact of the matter is at this time and still to this day, most of these executives, they're all white. They're the ones that they approved to put all this stuff out there. But yet the black people are being blamed for the situation like entirely. And that's not how it goes. Yes, we are responsible for handling certain situations and doing things certain ways. That is perfectly, I can't argue with that. I can't argue when Charlie Kirk said those things. I cannot argue with that. He is exactly right. But let me give you an example. There's a difference between black people and niggas. Okay? Those are two different things. The niggas make it bad for the black people who are actually trying to do things and so on and so forth. Okay? See, like these dudes weren't ignorant niggas. Okay? They just grew up in the hood, was seeing what was going on, and reported it. That's how it went. Here's the other thing. What do you think happened to these guys? The Black Panther Party was a revolutionary black nationalist and socialist organization founded in Oakland in 1966 by college students Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. These dudes right here, they got disbanded in 1982. You want to know why they got disbanded? Well, the same reason why this man had to die. Y'all don't understand. History tells you everything you need to know. And this man, the stuff that he talked about, it still resonates today. I've never heard Charlie Kirk ever speak of Malcolm X. I've never heard Charlie Kirk speak of the Black Panther Party. I wonder why. Like I said, nothing against Charlie Kirk. I'm just pointing out the obvious here because no one's saying it, so I'm gonna say it. I've even seen other black people who don't say nothing. Everybody's on this bandwagon and not realizing that Satan is the master of deception and he is deceiving every single last person. That's what's happening right now. You are being deceived. These people that have the power are using his death to get you to do what they want you to do. And it's unfortunate because I already said it, I was irate. I'm still pissed off about it. I don't like it. But at the same time, I had to sit back and think. I was like, wait a minute. And I start looking into stuff. I start watching, different, views and people's points. And I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? So now I see that they're using that. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it's all over, CNN, Fox News, CBS News, NBC, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. Now you might say, well, public figure, a lot of people knew who he was, so on and so forth. Yeah, sure. But don't you think it's quite convenient? And it's so unfortunate. You know, his family, man. That's the thing that gets me. But like I said, Charlie Kirk is not racist. He just don't understand. You can't possibly speak on something you can't understand. This is why we have people like him, because he understood. Okay? This is why these guys made their album that they made, because they understood. And the only difference today is technology and probably location. But we still got these ignorant niggas running around doing the things they do and making it bad for, you know, just regular black people that are just trying to live their lives, do their thing, and, so on and so forth. They're not trying to do the gang banging thing. They're not trying to do none of that stuff. But how do you think it got into the country in the first place? Guess who? It wasn't by black people. Black people didn't bring the drugs into the country. Yeah, yeah, we didn't do it, but we contributed to it because they pushed that into the community. This is why this guy had to die, because he was trying to stop that from happening. Listen to this man's speeches. It's in there. But yet y'all sit there and say, oh no, black people need to do this, black people need to do that, you need to stop doing these, doing that. It was systematically designed to go in that direction. That was the job that was completed. Drugs injected in the community. The tearing down of our leaders. And, a lot of people say Malcolm X was a radical and stuff like that. Yeah, he was, because he had to be. At the time, yeah, he had to be. He wasn't playing, because he knew and saw exactly what was going on. He was a very intelligent man. And many times they try to put him in a corner on TV, interviews, and so on and so forth. Now, once he left the Nation of Islam, that's when he started to go in a different direction. But he was still skeptical. You wouldn't like, okay, cool, we gonna get, no, he wasn't like that. And then they actually even pitted him against Martin Luther King Jr. on top of that. And of course they reconciled, and, he said some things, and, whatever else. And that's how it went. But once again, they tried to put Martin Luther King and Malcolm X against each other when they started to, you know, come around. When Malcolm started to come around, especially, they were like, nope, this guy's got to go, because he was too powerful and too influential. Period. Now, at that time, they was just taking dudes out. Now they're using it to their advantage. See, Charlie Kirk was influential too. And yes, I mean, at this point in time, it's not the same thing, because once Malcolm went down, I mean, black people just felt lost. There was no one else there to take his place. There was no one else there to continue the struggle and the fight. Right after that, Martin Luther King, you know, he said his piece, and then not too long ago, or not too long after that, he ends up being assassinated. So, I mean, JFK was assassinated, and people still don't understand the reason why he was assassinated. He was trying to change things in the political game because he saw where America was going. Well, they said, no, we're going to keep going where we're going, and you're going bye bye. He was trying to help the American. And see, like I said, racism still exists, but it's not as black and white as you think. It's not solely based on that, but they use the racism to continue this narrative. But there's still racism. That's just how it is. And if you don't believe me, ask OJ. OJ said, "I'm not black, I'm OJ." So there you go with that one. Even that's what, man, that's what Malcolm was talking about too. He was talking about the Uncle Toms. He was talking about the difference between the house nigga and the uh, uh how do you put it? Pretty much between the house nigga and the ones that were outside. The house nigga was totally different, and you would have to listen to the way he explained it. It's also in the movie too, but you have to hear the way. That's why I say you got to do your research. You have to hear the way he says it and how he explains it. It's freaking golden. It makes perfect sense. And what did he say at the end of that? It was in an interview too. He said, "You know what? We got a lot of house niggas still running around, and yes, we do. We still got a lot of house niggas running around because yet they're still stuck in this whole different world." And that's the way they've said it to make it seem like things are better. Things aren't better. They're just worse. And now it's a whole collaboration of craziness that includes everyone. But yet, the African Americans are the only ones who haven't had justice. They haven't. Where's justice at? Heck, we got people that are coming over here from other countries that are getting more justice than we are. That's a fact. That is a fact. When it comes to benefits, when it comes to any of those things, these people that are coming from other countries are getting more. Where do you think the Jews came from? They weren't, I mean, they probably were already, some were already here, but the ones that they took from freaking Germany, their descendants are running everything that has to do with everything in Hollywood. But they're not going to tell you that. They're the reasons why Jesus was nailed to the cross. They're also the reason in the future that they'll usher in the Antichrist and they will worship him because they didn't believe Jesus was the Messiah. That's why what happened happened. But yet, see, you tell the truth. Oh, you're being racist. You're being anti-Semitic. No, I'm not. I'm telling the truth. That's what you guys believe. So I don't see what the problem is. You believe that, even though it's oddly retarded that you do believe that, because what bad person is going to let you nail him up on a cross and let people beat the crap out of him? Don't worry, I'll wait. No bad person is going to let you do anything to him. Self-explanatory. And even was mocked. Oh, bring your butt down from the cross if you're this and you're that. No, because it was supposed to happen that way. He had to sacrifice everything for us. Period. So there's now a Charlie Kirk rabbit hole. That's all I can say. And yeah, he stood up for what he believed in. And I'm right there with him. The only thing I'm not right there with him on is political situation and the black community. That's it. That's it. I'm not mad about it. I'm not pissed about it. I just think he's just not informed, because if he was, I think he'd be talking about these guys. But he ain't talking about Malcolm X, is he? No, I've never heard him talk about Malcolm X. If he has, please let me know. Black Panther Party? Has he ever talked about that? No, no. Has he ever talked about anything that has to do with the black community? That has to do with the the injustice and everything else that is still happening today? No, it's just all excuses now. Oh, you can do anything you want. Okay, if that's the case, there's only one Michael Jordan. If that's the case, there's only one Tom Brady. If that's the case, not everyone can be a pro basketball player. If that's the case, not everyone can be a famous rapper or singer or entertainer. If that's the case, I can go on and on and on. How much proof do you need? I can bring all the proof, but you still won't believe it. I know that for a fact because guess where it happened? In the Bible. Jesus was a prime example of that. He brought all the truth, and look what happened to him. So there you go. I'm out.